Last month, May shared with us about hospitality as mission, and we hope that that was really helpful and that you found a way to watch that video within your communities and explore the questions together. If not, these videos are going to continue to stay on our app and you will be able to access them at any point and go back to them. And each month we're going to be adding a new one to those because we want to continue to learn how we can model Jesus's habits when it comes to hospitality. This month, we want to continue to explore the core value of radical hospitality, but particularly thinking about hospitality from the heart. And so I'm going to read a passage from 1 Peter 4, verse 7 to 11 from the New International Version as we get started. The end of all things is near. Therefore, be alert and of sober mind, so that you may pray. Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins. Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. If anyone speaks, they should do so as one who speaks the very words of God. If anyone serves, they should do so with the strength God provides, so that in all things God may be praised through Jesus Christ. To him be the glory and the power forever and ever. Amen. Now, in these verses, Peter is giving some advice and commands on how to live. Peter was a very practical person, so his words are pragmatic, they are simple and they're direct. And he is referring to how we should conduct ourselves in the end times. Now, I am not going to, in this video, present a theological argument as to whether we are in the end times and when Jesus is going to return. That's not what this is about. But we can all say that we do live in the time now that is in between, the now and not yet. And so, therefore, the words that were written in 1 Peter are still relevant to us today. It goes on in this passage to say that as disciples, when the world may be shaking and crisis may be upon us, that we are called as disciples and reminded to stay calm and evaluate things maturely through prayer. When we look around us, we can definitely say that there are chaotic situations going on in our world, can't we? Society, we may feel, is shaking in different ways right now. And maybe when we are presented with that, our initial and first response is to worry and to feel fearful. That is a natural response. Yet what we can do, and we're reminded of in this passage, is to bring all of that to God. Through knowing Jesus, we can choose to respond differently, in a different way to maybe those around us. Whereas many people, when they do not know Jesus, the fear and the panic takes over. How is this linked to hospitality? Well, as we learn to be people of hospitality, hopefully we can bring Jesus in by sharing and showing him to others when they feel hopeless, panicked, fearful, or are facing difficulties that are bringing around anxiety. This passage goes on to say that we are called above all else to love one another. And in the Message translation, it says, as if your life depended on it. This is not a kind of soft command. This is very direct. Our hospitality should be done without grumbling. Instead, it should be done with a generous heart. Hospitality that comes from the heart. This can be a challenge though, can't it? We may not always feel like we want to, or we have the energy to. Maybe we don't always feel like we're equipped to. But it is a command and a call from Jesus, a way for us to live as his disciples. And I wonder if sometimes we find it hard because maybe we make it more complicated than it actually needs to be. When we spend time with people or welcome people around our tables, The hospitality that we are talking about is different to the kind of hospitality you may show if you're hosting a dinner party. A dinner party is a place and time for entertainment, which takes hard work, effort, but of course is joyful as well. The hospitality that Peter is talking about in this passage comes from our hearts. So it goes with us into our homes, into our workplaces, into our schools and beyond. We can show radical hospitality wherever we go. It may be through us showing and being a listening ear to a work colleague who's going through a difficulty. It may be showing grace towards a neighbour who is having a hard time, or it may be inviting somebody into your home for a cup of tea, even if it may not be dinner party ready. It's less about the practical things that we give and more about the heart of love that we show. Hearts to listen to people's fears, hearts to respond to them by offering prayer or sharing, and as the Message translation puts it, to be God's hearty help to others. So how do we do this? Well, I've got 2 questions for you to consider in your communities and to explore together. Question number 1, how can we show and share God's love, grace and hope when people around us feel fearful? And question number 2, how is our heart? If we find it hard to show hospitality like this because it requires us to be authentic and vulnerable, then what small steps can we take towards this? We'll be back next month with another video. We hope that this has been helpful, and we want to continue to hear the stories of what God is doing in and through your communities.